The language development. Hi everyone, I am Michaela Alias. Let us start with what drives the language development. It is simply states that here, that the simplest theory of language development is that children learn by imitating adult languages. Although children clearly imitate some aspects of adult behavior, it is that imitation cannot by itself be a primary driving force for early development and particularly of syntactic development. Furthermore, when children try to imitate what they hear, they are unable to do so unless they already have the appropriate grammatical construction, and also imitation of adult speech plays an important role in acquiring accent, in the manner of speech, and in the choice of particular vocabulary items. Let's proceed to conditioning. Conditioning refers to the process of learning through association, reinforcement, or imitation. Conditioning plays a role in language development, in vocabulary acquisition, grammar and syntax, pronunciation, and articulation. And now, let me show you the timeline of development of language. And now we proceed to language acquisition device. Are you familiar with the language acquisition device? The language acquisition device, or LAD, is a hypothetical module in human brain that enables children to acquire language quickly and efficiently. In Chomsky's later work, the LAD is replaced by the idea of the universal grammar. This is a theory of the primitives and rules of inferences that enables child to learn any natural grammar. And now I'll give you some simple examples. In language like Italian, it is possible just to say parla or speaks. In languages such as English and French, it is not grammatical just to say speaks. You must use the pronoun and say he speaks. There is an example of parameter. And what is parameter? Are you familiar with parameter? In language development, a parameter is an innate binary or switch from Noam Chomsky, Principles and Parameters, Theory of Universal Grammar that sets a specific grammatical property, explaining why languages differ despite sharing universal principles. Children learn their specific language by setting these parameters based on the linguistic input they receive, which dictates grammatical features like word order or whether subjects can be committed. And finally, we will now proceed on how children develop language. Many things drive language development. Growth, the environment are particularly social interactions. And the main issue is the extent to which children need genetically encoded language, specific information, rather than general purpose learning mechanisms. We should remember that the balance of the driving forces for phonological, syntactic, semantic, and pragmatic development might be very different. And the question is, do children learn any language in the womb? Children do not start speaking at birth because they need some exposure to language before they can start using it, and because other processes like sound, perception, vision, brain maturation, and social interaction have to reach some level of ability first.
So hi, my name is Jesper Gensi Valdez. So our topic is all about the language development. So language development, it is a complex process that begins even before birth and continues through early childhood. It involves the ability to perceive, produce, and understand speech and shaped by both biological and developmental factors. So in my part, I am going to discuss about the phonological development, lexical development, semantic development, syntactic development, and factors affecting language development. Phonological development, also known as the sound of language. Early speech perception. Infant sensitivity to sounds. From birth, infants can distinguish speech sounds from non-speech sounds. For example, a newborn can tell the difference between ba and pa. Prosody. Babies are sensitive to the rhythm, intonation, and stress of speech. For example, newborns prefer their mother's voice and can distinguish between language such as French and Russian. Decline in universal perception. While infants can recognize from many languages, example, Hindi or Hikuyo sounds, this ability narrows by around 1 year old depending on their linguistic environment. Segmenting speech. The problem. Speech is continuous without clear pauses between words. Children to figure out where one word ends and another begins. Strategies. Distributional information. Infants learn by noticing patterns in how sound occur. Example, laughing and loudly often appear together while ing loud does not. Phonotactic cues. Infants prefer sounds combination that fit natural language rules. Example, bin cave sounds more natural than fang gave. Bootstrapping. Children use what they already know, like familiar words, to discover new ones. Later phonological development. Simplification of strategies. Children simplify difficult words. Omit final consonants. Example, stop and top. Reduce clusters. Example, spoon and poon. Repeat syllables. Example, water in wawa. Hypothesis testing. Children experiment with pronunciation and refine their speech over time. For example, a child might say fish instead of fish until they learn the sh sound. Lexical development or vocabulary growth. It is a process by which people, especially children, acquire and expand their vocabulary. It is an important part of a language development because words are the basic building blocks of communication. Emergence of early words. First words appear around 1 year of age with about 50 words known by 18 to 24 months. Type of words. Early usually include names of people, animals, food, and toys. Vocabulary explosion. After the first 50 words, children's vocabulary grows rapidly. Referential versus expressive style. Referential style focus on naming object. For example, ball or dog. Expressive style focus on people and emotion. Example, mama, babay. The mapping problem. Challenge. How do children know what a word referred to? For example, if a mother points to a dog and says dog, the child must figure out whether it refers to the whole, its tail, its color, or its barking. Solution. Whole object assumption. Words refer to whole object, not parts. Taxonomic assumption. Words group object of the same category. Example, cat refers to all cats, not just one. Mutual exclusivity. Each object has one level. For example, if a child already knows that word ball, they won't call a doll a ball. Semantic development or understanding meaning is a process of learning the meaning of the words, phrases, and sentences. It focuses on how children and individuals understand and use words correctly to express ideas and thoughts. So children learn not just words but also their meanings and how words relate to each other. At first, they understand only concrete meaning. Example, like ball or milk. Later, they understand categories and abstract ideas. Example, a child first learns dog and cat separately. Later, they realize both are animals. As they grow, they'll understand abstract categories like freedom or justice. Semantic feature. This approach states that the meaning can be specified in terms of a set of smaller unit of a meaning. Syntactic development or grammar growth is a process of learning how to arrange words into correct and meaningful sentences. It focuses on grammar and sentence structure, which allow people to express ideas clearly. Without syntax, communication would be confusing because words would not follow an organized pattern. Thematic rules are a way of labeling who did what in a sentence. They explain who is doing the action, what is affected, and how things are involved in a situation. Around age of 2, children begin the two-word stage, words into short sentences. For example, want cookie or go park. Over time, they add grammar rules to form longer and correct sentences. Overregulation errors happen when children apply grammar rules too broadly. For example, saying thoughts instead of teeth or good instead of went. These mistakes slowly they are learning grammar actively. Factors affecting language development. Biological factors. The brain has special areas like Broca's and Wernicke's areas important for language is easiest. For example, a child deprived of language exposure until age 10 may never fully master grammar. Social factors. Children learn faster when adults talk, read, and interact with them. Example, a child whose parents read bedtime stories often develops a richer vocabulary than one who isn't exposed to much conversation. Cognitive factors, memory, attention, and recognizing patterns all help children connect words with meanings. Example, a child sees their parent point to a dog multiple times and remembers that the sound dog is linked with that animal. So, in conclusion, language development is a step by step process. Both nature or biology and nurture or environment plays an important role. Mistakes are normal. They show children are actively learning the rules. That's all and thank you.